have a special guest here at the tavern today. Today we have a regular on AEW Dark and on Sammy's vlog, and you've also seen him on Being the Elite and AEW Dynamite. He is the master of the Tornado DDT, Mr. Fuego del Sol. Fuego, how are you doing today, man?
Man, I am doing great. I'm doing awesome. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, man. Thank you for doing this. We're definitely excited to have you on.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, I'm excited to be on. It's good to talk some wrestling.
Yeah. So let's get right into the early days, man. Like, what started your fandom, and when you were growing up, like, who were your guys? Who really like got your attention?
Oh, man. So I have a few. I mean, definitely I was born in 95. So my first memories of wrestling is Stone Cold Steve Austin. And so immediately as a young kid, I was running around the house trying to hit Stone Cold stunners on everyone. But when I really started to understand wrestling, coming about 7, 8 years old, Shawn Michaels had just come back in 2002. And I slowly just fell in love with Shawn Michaels. As well as Eddie Guerrero, man. There was something captivating about Eddie to me. And of course, Rey Mysterio as well. I mean, he's definitely, it's no secret, he's influenced my style. But those are just some of them. And then slowly as I aged up, guys like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, and then also AJ Styles and TNA just captivated me. I wanted to, when they were on screen, I was glued to it.
Oh, yeah. AJ was killing it, man. He's still killing it.
Absolutely. Phenomenal in every sense of the word.
So was there like a particular person that kind of got you into it? Like, you always hear stories about it's someone's grandmother or a father taking them to a show. Was there anyone like particular that got you into it?
Oh man, my dad is a giant wrestling fan. He's been watching wrestling and going to wrestling events since he was a child. And so, like I said, I don't have a specific moment. I just know that from the moment I was born, every Monday night. And like me and my dad had a streak where we would be taping it. If we hadn't missed it, we were mad at my mom for making us miss Monday Night Raw. It was just one of those things that's just like, we fell in love with wrestling. And still to this day, we bond, we talk. I mean, he watches the vlogs weekly with Sam, and we talk about it constantly. So it's just a great bonding moment and something that me and my dad connect over really well. And I have 2 younger brothers, and they liked wrestling growing up, but you know, everyone hits that age where they kind of grow out of it, or you don't. And I was just one of those people that never did. And to this day, man, me and my dad still talk wrestling. So I got to just give it to him. He went to wrestling shows all his life growing up, and he made sure to take us. And then we weren't a rich family by any means, but when he gave up enough money and the WWE came to Mobile, Alabama, he made sure to try to get us tickets. And so I owe him my wrestling fandom completely.
That's awesome, man. I feel like so many brothers and dads and sons have bonded over pro wrestling. Like,
that's exactly my story. the exact same thing. I mean, we bonded over wrestling. So, so what was the moment that made you decide that being a fan wasn't enough and that you wanted to become a professional wrestler?
It's such a weird question too, because it almost hit me out of nowhere. Like, I remember being in middle school and people asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And like, for a long time as a kid, it was just some type of like sport, you know, I wanted to play some type of sport growing up, whether it be football or whatever it was. But then eventually I was like, well, I really want to make money. So what? And so I just looked up a bunch of things that make a lot of money. So for a while, I just wanted to be an investment banker. That's what I would tell people. I just want to be an investment banker because they make a lot of money. But then when I was 14 years old, I started a backyard wrestling company called KBW Wrestling, Kids Backyard Wrestling. And it was just me, a bunch of my friends and brothers and cousins around the neighborhood getting together and wrestling on a trampoline. And I got a camera for Christmas. So I started recording it and putting it on YouTube around 2009, 2010. Well, we put a few videos up, and one of the videos went viral. It got over 1 million views. And so we started turning that into like a weekly thing where we started putting out shows on YouTube weekly. And before you know it, by 17, I got offers from the ads on different ad companies on YouTube to partner with them and become a YouTube star in a sense. I started getting paid almost $2,000 a month at 17.
Wow. At
Wrestling
17. That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So the same people that were making fun of me in school for watching wrestling and doing backyard wrestling, where now I was laughing at when I was tipping them at their McDonald's job. Because,
yeah.
And it kind of just hit me then. I was like, wait a minute, if I can do this on a trampoline in my backyard and make money, why not pursue this thing professionally? And so that's where it really hit me for that. I was like, you clearly can create success on a trampoline. You have to try this now full time. So I had got a soccer scholarship to go to college. So I was like, okay, I'll go to college for my parents. But at that time, it also started training, and my mind was dead set on becoming a professional wrestler.
So, like, my question is, what were you at 17? How are you spending that $2,000, man?
Oh man! So I remember my first month that I got a check. It was only $400 because it was half the month. So we started right in the middle of the month. So the first check was $400, and that blew my mind. I was like, I got $400. A TNA house show was coming to town. So I bought me and 3 of my buddies front row seats at a TNA house show.
That's
and
awesome.
I didn't, and like, because we got front row seats, we also got to be a part of a meet and greet beforehand. So I met all these wrestlers beforehand. And then during the show, I was yelling at Bobby Roode during his entrance. So he come up to me, and I got this video of me and him like face to face, eyeball to eyeball. He's yelling at me to jump the rail, come in the ring. And like, that was about like 3 or 4 months before I actually started training. So that was just a fun memory to have. But yeah, originally I wanted to use my second paycheck to buy a wrestling ring for, and the guy training me was like, I don't feel comfortable selling a 17-year-old ring, but I definitely will train you guys if you guys want to come over. So I started paying for me and a couple other guys that did backyard wrestling with me. I started paying for our training, and then eventually I gear and started traveling, and I used that money to buy my first car. And when I moved
so
home,
you were being responsible with it. I would have been buying dumb shit, and you're actually like investing in pro wrestling.
In a sense, yeah, man. This is all I wanted to do. And like, I remember asking my dad at like 16 if he would, start paying for my training. And it's just something we couldn't afford. So the second I started making money, I was like, well, this is it. This is not. And that money lasted me for 3 years. Like, I stopped doing backyard wrestling weekly in 2014. And that money kept coming in until like 2017 before I finally had to, it wasn't enough to pay the bills anymore.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
I mean, that's a successful person's mindset, because if I'm, like you said, if I'm getting $2,000, I mean, I'm going to the mall.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
But I didn't grow up with like a ton of money. So like, I immediately was like, I want to be responsible with this. I want to make sure, I want to use this to make more money. I'm also just a frugal, stingy, greedy person. So I want to, I told my girl, I told her, because she was asking me what I want for Christmas. I said, the best present you can give me is to let me see my bank account numbers go up. So don't buy anything. Just continue to let money come in.
Yeah. So what went into your decision early on to don the hood? Like, what made you decide to wear a luchador mask?
Okay, so I was very small, and my trainers always would compare my size to like WCW style Rey Mysterio. And they thought it's like wearing a mask almost takes away from your size a little bit. It's like people are not so focused on, oh, this dude is so small. They're like, oh, this dude is wearing a mask, the mystery adds to it. It kind of add that spark to where it distracts you from my size in a bit. And then I started training with this guy in Florida who was from Mexico that donned a mask, and we worked on it a little bit. And then when I moved to Oklahoma, I kept working with guys and did a couple tours of Mexico and drove down and did that, and just really fell in love with the style of Lucha Libre to a sense to where I wanted to combine it and merge it with all these other different styles that I had. And Fuego del Sol was kind of born because of that.
That's awesome. Now you've done a lot of work with, I think it's your home promotion, World Class Revolution out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Now you had the opportunity, speaking of those 90s WCW cruiserweights, you had the opportunity to have several matches with one of the cornerstones of WCW's iconic cruiserweight division, Juventud Guerrera. What was it like wrestling Hoovy Juice?
Oh man, the Juice, man. The Hoovy is great. And like, you hear stories about Hoovy. He's almost just as iconic outside of the ring as he is inside of the ring. Right. And so, but I also had heard stories where you don't even know what type of juice you're getting. You might get hungover juice, or who don't want to do as much today, or you might get Juventud is ready. And I remember our first match. We were in Wichita, Kansas, and we started putting this match together, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be really good. And we ended up stealing the show that night. And it was like one of my first times I was like, whoa, first of all, this dude is 43 years old and can still go like he was in the 90s.
Right.
But also that a motivated Juice is still one of the best in the world. But I did have the unfortunate pleasure of seeing a Juicy baby that was he had a long night beforehand. We had a double shot weekend, and a lot of the boys were tired and hung over the night after. And that match wasn't as good, but out of the three, I had two phenomenal matches with Hoovy of three great encounters. But I'll remember the third one just as most because just the story of it was hilarious.
That's awesome. I mean, he had such iconic matches. Like his feud with Chris Jericho, who's in AEW, was legendary. Like I always really liked Juventud.
Yeah, I would always look back fondly on my matches with Juventud Guerrero for sure.
Now, talking about more wrestlers you've worked with, I mean, you've worked with a lot. You worked with Impact Wrestling's The North. You even worked a match with Eric Rowan on Raw. Obviously, Sammy.
I mean, I don't know if that was me per se. I definitely know of that guy.
Right.
But
right.
I heard he really enjoyed that match there.
Yeah. But like, even going on with Scorpio Sky, Butcher and the Blade, Brian Cage, Dark Order, Jurassic Express. Who have you learned the most just by wrestling them in the ring? No advice, just by being in the ring with someone. Who have you kind of taken the most from?
That's a good question. Well, I feel like one of the biggest moments that I knew that these guys were good was when I wrestled the North. Because like I watched them on TV, I watched them on the indies, and I knew they were really good. But being in there with them and just feeling it out, and like when they were just tearing me up, putting the heat on me, it was like it clicked when I was like, oh my God, these guys are on a different level of good. And like their chemistry of the way I could just hear them talking to each other in the rings, like, hey, what if we did this move right here? Yeah, cool. Hold him there. Let me get this. Boom, bang. And I was just like, I ain't being ragdoll, but I'm also learning how this is what tag team wrestling should be. And like, both of them guys, even individually, are so good, but when you put them together, they're the best well-oiled machine I've ever seen in the ring. So I got to give props to the North, and me and Ethan Page have become very good friends after the fact, after wrestling each other. And so the North are next level guys. That's another thing with Scorpio Sky as well. It's just when I wrestled him in a tag team, it was my first match in AEW with a tag team match, and I've got to wrestle him singles. And just he is the gatekeeper of if you can't have a good match with Scorpio Sky, you can't have a good match, because that guy can wrestle anybody and make it good. And even the way we were talking about the match, I was like, I got to get the most offense in I've ever gotten in AEW up to that point on Scorpio Sky. And I was like, man, this dude is next level. He cares about having good matches and having great encounters. And definitely that will stick out in my mind. But even with Jungle Boy, you can just see his sense of how he thinks and feels it in the ring, and tell that guy's gonna be a star for years to come. But I can go on and on. Like even with the Butcher and the Blade, their presence in the ring and how they make everything big and everything mean something, and how much they care about putting things in to their match. The AEW locker room as a whole is phenomenal, but those moments stick out to me for sure.
That's awesome.
So you've been backstage at WWE, and you know a guy that wrestled Rowan. So after spending time in both companies and, kind of seeing the inner workings, what do you see happening when contracts start to expire here in the future?
Well, it's hard to say. I definitely think some people are born and bred on WWE. That's all they know. They grew up loving WWE, and to them, truly making it is making it to WWE. But I definitely think AEW has stepped up and changed that, especially for guys like me, whether it'd be smaller guys or guys that's been grinding on the indie scene for as long as I have, or if they just relate to the Young Bucks or Cody, or just that grind that they had to create something new and different.
Right.
But I think AEW has, at least in my experiences, has surpassed WWE in that sense, above and beyond. Like even with just independent guys coming in to doing one dark match, they make sure they're treated so much so fairly, so much better. Like I've wrestled on Dark a bunch of times, and I've been paid more than that guy might have been paid to wrestle on Monday Night Raw, just to say the least in that sense. But it changed my landscape. The second I got there and had a match, I knew, okay, this is now the place I want to be. Like, of course, WWE is great, and I would always entertain all offers, but my mindset now is focused on how do I get a job full time at All Elite Wrestling. AEW is almost just afterthought. I mean, WWE is almost an afterthought at this point.
Yeah.
AEW is the place I want to be.
Yeah,
and I feel like if any guy relates to me in that sense, their mindset is also the same. You want to get to somewhere like AEW, you might fit better than AEW. The stop and start pushes don't happen like they do over there. You know, I can't speak for everyone over there, but I definitely think I have a good grasp on guys like me, and that's the place I would want to be.
Yeah, we had Griff Garrison on the show, and he just talked about how the backstage locker room in AEW was just such almost like a family.
It's the best. Is that they treat even guys like extra guys, enhancement guys. You wouldn't know that they were extra enhancement guys because they make sure to give you just as much feedback as they do their signed talent. They make sure you get to. They don't like in WWE. You have to change as an extra in just a closet that they stick you in. They put when you walk towards the locker room, they have signs that show. And then when you walk by the actual WWE locker room, it has these guys, this little stick figure with this giant dumbbell that's all jacked. But then when you walk by the extra locker room, it's just this dude that can barely lift any weight. And it's like the jabs they take at these guys to make you feel less than is just really weird. And that doesn't go for everyone. There's some great guys in the locker room. I have some great friends in the WWE locker room, but it's just the overall atmosphere is night and day difference when it comes to AEW, the AEW locker room versus the WWE locker room.
And the creative freedom that AEW gives versus what WWE does.
Absolutely. Like I said, putting matches together with guys, you can tell. It's like, if you're an extra guy, you're not getting stuff. Maybe on 205 Live in WWE, you may can get a move or two in, but in WWE, you have to go through so many producers, and there's a way that they want it. It's got to be done. Whereas Tony lets his guys go. He's like, he hired you because you were a good wrestler, so come do what you do well. If there's tweaks and adjustments we want to make, we'll let you know that and let you know going forward, and we'll discuss that and figure out what we want to do going forward. But it's 10 times better for a wrestler and their creativity and their mind in AEW than versus WWE.
So how did your gig with AEW Dark come about? Who kind of, how did you get on their radar? Who brought you in?
Okay, I can easily say how it happened, but I like to tell this backstory on it because it makes the story a little bit better. Back when I had first moved to Oklahoma, I was trying to get booked in Texas. And so I was messaging just a bunch of random companies in Texas over Facebook. And like when I went to their pages, I would see just different guys on their pages. And then a couple weeks later, right after that, maybe 2 weeks later, I got a message on my KBW YouTube channel from a kid named Sammy Guevara, who I didn't know at the time. And he was like, hey, I just been reaching out to a bunch of just big wrestling YouTube companies. And I was wondering if you would put up a video of mine on YouTube to kind of just showcasing what I can do. I'm just a guy on the indie scene trying to make it. And this is back in 2017, maybe even 2016. And so I had just seen him on one of these promotions in Texas. He was one of their world champions there. And I was like, hey, what a small world. If you get me booked in Texas, I'll put up a video on my channel to get you more exposure that way. And I did that. He got me booked. We become friends. We wrestled each other a bunch of times, and we got to know each other. And I would just give him advice on how to grow his YouTube to a bigger standard just because I had done it with the KBW channel. And eventually he got signed to AEW and blew up, and we'd always been friends. And when the pandemic hit and so many of their talent was stuck either in the UK or in Japan or in Mexico, and even in Canada, and couldn't come down, they needed guys to fill spots. And luckily, because we were such good friends back in the back end, I helped him out early on in his career. He wanted to help me out just because we're such good friends, and he got me that spot. And when I got there, I showed out enough, at least proved myself enough that they used me again and then again, and I made such good connections and, showed out enough to where people liked working with me, and they liked the way I wrestled in the ring to where now since October 7th, I've been there at every taping, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, well, explain an evening. Like, what's an evening like for you during a Dark taping? Like, what's it like? The backstage area. Like, what's the buzz like in the building when you guys are because Dark goes. I mean, there's been like 2.5 hour shows of Dark, which I love. You know, they're not afraid to to put a spotlight on a bunch of talent and give opportunities to all these indie wrestlers. So what's the environment like?
Oh man, just to take you through a quick, just small day at AEW. Sometimes it's just a 1 day taping. If we do a 1 day taping, it's Wednesday night live, and so they'll ask us to be there around 2. We get there, and a bunch of the females have been there all morning because Dustin Rhodes runs a class to help make the women better. Even in the morning at like 9, 10 o'clock, they're there working out, trying to be as good as they can be. And then we get there too. The catering's fantastic. We figure out what the format is for tonight, what matches are going where. They usually record 2 or 3 matches right before Dynamite when the crowd gets in, and then they film Dynamite. And then after Dynamite, you got about a 20-minute break before they start filming all the Darks. And sometimes we go till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning some nights, just depending on how long the Darks are. But that's just to get their guys reps, right? With TV, you only have 2 hours of time. So maybe you didn't get to fit everyone in, and you're trying to make your guys better and let them work on things. And the best way to do that is give everyone a match. And so that's what they're doing, is they're trying to make their guys better, smoothing out things with their character, with their work all together. And in that time, you're just intermingling with the whole locker room. You're seeing what they like about the show, what they don't like about the show, how they prepare for their matches. I'm sitting there watching Dynamite, watching the best wrestlers in the world, and listening to Billy Gunn either crack jokes or critique it right there next to me. So that's awesome. You know, I get to listen to how Billy whether he's bickering with the bunny Allie on the outside, or he's really talking to his son, telling Austin and Colton, hey, this is how they did this in the tag team match, and this is what you need to do. This is what I didn't like, and this is what I wish they would have done. And just to even sit under that learning tree on the side is even more fun than you would. I got Justin Roberts over there yelling at me to get the crowd even louder. He's getting cues and here's earbuds. So we're getting each other loud and pumped up, making jokes, taking pictures, cracking smiles. And then right after that, we're getting in the mindset of, hey, we got these Darks to film. Let's knock them out as fast as possible, but make it as smooth as possible as well. And so we're knocking out the Darks. And it's just an overall atmosphere. And then after that, you go to a nice little AEW after party with the signed talent do. And then if you're lucky enough, you might get invited as an enhancement talent. You get to hang out and intermingle with all the guys and enjoy that and just experience the brotherhood that is pro wrestling. And so
awesome.
Yeah. Whereas in WWE, you either stay in catering, you sit in your small little locker room and don't be in the way of anybody. And if you have something on the show, be there, be on time, and don't try to stand out or stick out at all. Because if you do, you'll get talked to and probably won't get brought back.
Yeah. It seems like that's kind of when you hear wrestlers talk about the things they remember most in wrestling, it seems like those moments that fans don't get to see when you're just forming those relationships and kind of that brotherhood you speak about. That's the stuff that wrestlers really remember is the car rides, you know, pre-pandemic, all of that stuff is really what makes wrestling special amongst the boys.
Oh man, that's half the fun. Sometimes that's even more fun than the actual wrestling. I can definitely say this with Sammy Vlogs. Filming these bits is the most fun I've ever had in my career, man. Getting to hang out with whether it be the private party guys or Griff Garrison or Cody Rhodes or QT Marshall, even though he's been dodging me for months about this match. Those bits and filming this is so much fun, so funny. It's so extra that it adds to the experience 10 times over. I love wrestling. I love getting the exposure from AEW, trying to prove myself, trying to earn a contract. I love that grind. But the brotherhood, the experiences, the laughs, man, the ribs, the fun you have backstage is just as much fun as it is in the ring.
Yeah, talking about the Sammy Vlogs, we're both big fans of the Sammy Vlogs, and what's so like, one, they're hilarious, but above all, it just seems like you guys are having a blast. Like it comes through, and you know, you talked about your friendship with Sammy, and how did you kind of like form bonds with like Griff and Marco? And when you guys filmed those, it seems like you guys have kind of became like a little unit.
Oh man, that's what we are. In a sense, we're like a vlog squad is what we call each other, man. We hang out, and like me and Griff shared a locker room together. Like for a while, during the football season that we couldn't change in the place we normally change. So they rented movie trailers and put them all in the parking lot. And it's like me and Griff shared a trailer together and we got really close. And me and Sammy, most of the time, share a hotel room because I'm not signed there and he helps me save money. So we're hanging out the most of the time like that. And Marco's always there because him and Sammy are best friends as well. So I've become so close with that group and we've formed such a unit that it's gonna be friendships that I take way past AEW. If somehow this does come to an end sooner than I expect, those guys, we have a group chat right now. We're blowing each other up, texting, passing along funny memes and stuff like that. And not only that, guys that are just associated with the vlog, like QT, like Cody, like Kip, Sabian, like Will Hobbs, even like those guys are all become cooler with me because we feel like we've become a part of something together that is so much fun.
Right. Like all the skits with you and Cody are hilarious. Like that special, the handshake, like high five thing you guys do. What's it like, working on comedic stuff like that with arguably one of the top guys in AEW? Is it easy to kind of let loose with Cody, or were you kind of like nervous at first, or?
Oh man, what a fun story that was too, just because, for a long time, you got to see Cody's comedic side on Being the Elite, BTE, on the Young Bucks channel. But just with all the different EVP priorities and how BTE has changed over the months, Cody took a step back from that. And so people didn't get to see that constantly. And he made a joke one day to Sammy. It's like, oh, you never asked me to be a part of your vlog. And Sammy come up with this just a little quick one-time bit that he was going to do where he hypes me up. And then I end up losing to Scorpio Sky. And he just craps on it or whatever. And we ended up filming it. And this man is so dedicated to the bits that he went and looked up my past accomplishments on just Wikipedia and found different things about me and come up. And as we were filming it, he was popping me and Sammy because I didn't know he knew anything about this, bringing up different companies and championships I've won. And he called me the master of the Tornado DDT just because he saw that was one of my signature moves from 2014 that I did a couple of times, and it kind of just exploded. And so one thing I can say about Cody Rhodes is that whatever he decides to do, he commits fully to. And so half the time, me and Sammy don't even know what's going to come out of this man's mouth. We just got to roll with the punches and play off of it because he's just that good. He's not only that good in the ring or backstage or with promos, but when it comes to comedic timing and just coming up with things on the fly and riffing off of each other, he's incredible, and it creates some of the funniest moments. Like, it's even funnier to us right when the camera says cut or right when we break character and all die laughing together. Yeah. Those moments are even more fun sometimes sometimes where we both say something, oh, it might be a little too far, maybe the company wouldn't like that, so we're gonna have to redo that and say something else because it's just that funny. Oh my god, it's some of the best times. But the commitment that he shows, that like on this last bit that just aired on the vlog, hilarious. We knew that he didn't like that Sammy stepped on his truck, but this man went and didn't tell us that he printed off these photos legit because it was a shoot of how hot he got that we stepped on his truck. And so that's how deep in I love to say that he's a psychopath for success, because like whatever he sticks his name to, whatever he's a part of, he's committing 1000% and wants it to be the best as it possibly can be, even when it comes to these stupid bits on the stupid vlog, as he calls it.
I'll be honest, man. I think we all know how hard it is to make yourself laugh when you're by yourself. When I was watching the last one with the BBC, I mean, I was crying laughing by myself every time he would come over to get the handshake from you and turn right back to Sammy.
That was popping me because I didn't know he was going to do that. Like I said, he just turned around or like he does this thing where he makes you want to say the thing he says. Like he's like, yeah, call him a little bitch. Fuego, he's a little bitch, and like you have to repeat it. Oh, he's a little, it's such a little funny thing, but he's so good about just little timing things like that.
Yeah.
So like how important is it for you guys that are on these vlogs? You've got Sammy's vlog, there's BTE. For you guys, how important is that shoulder content to kind of connect more with fans and show a side of your personality that maybe you don't get to show on a Dark or a Dynamite?
Oh man, well, to a lot of guys and to a lot of just casual wrestling fans, I'm sure I was just the jobber on AEW, you know. But that has now it's gotten me over. It's like I've gotten to a point where fans are bringing tornado DDT signs to the Dynamite, and like I've never been featured on Dynamite in a match. Like they should have no clue about me, but because I've been on Dark and because we've been committing to these bits on whether it be BTE or Sammy's vlogs, man, people have invested themselves in it. And like, thank God Sammy's vlog had been grandfathered in before he ever got to AEW, because we get to create this content and we get to almost like no one, Tony or the EVPs or no one has said, hey, we should be building a match between QT Marshall and Fuego del Sol. But we kind of just made it happen. And the fans have bought into it and they love it. And now they almost have to book this match eventually because it's been built so much over all this time.
So when Fuego del Sol gets signed to AEW, because it's going to happen.
I like when you said when. I like when you said
when you get signed, what's next for you after that? What's your goals after that?
Oh man, it's to work my way up to the very top. Like I want to put on the best matches, the most high quality matches, and I want to thoroughly entertain everyone that sees Fuego del Sol. There's something about me, and people say this to me all the time. It's like you just have this likability factor to you, to where I just can't help but root for you or to like you. And now, if I can just get this wrestling thing down, I feel like I can put those together. There's nothing, and like there's many facets of me that people haven't even got to see yet. Like just when a match goes long, and how deep I can dig into my arsenal and the moves I can bust out, or my promo ability that they really haven't got to see yet that you might be seeing soon enough on these vlogs as well. That I want to show people that not only do I take an ass whooping very well, but I can make you care about any match that I'm a part of, whether it be the TNT title or eventually the AEW World title. I'm gonna work my ass off to make myself bigger, physically, mentally, even exposure wise. I'm gonna make myself as big as possible so everyone knows the name of Fuego del Sol before it's over.
That's awesome.
All right, man. Well, before we let you go, we're gonna do this is our shoot sixer. And the shoot sixer, it's 6 questions where we shoot straight with you. It's not so much rapid fire, but we like to end on 6 fun questions with you.
Love it.
All right. So the first question is, you and Sammy are booked to wrestle for the TNT title, only this time it's on a trampoline. Who's coming out on top?
Oh, that's me all day long. I'm sorry, Sammy. I've been doing this since I was 14 on trampoline. I got the advantage. But he will sit here and say he's going to be Sammy Guevara all day long because that's just what his ego is all about. And that's what I tell people. I was like, it's gotten him heat in the past, but it's gotten him just as much to the spot he's in because he firmly believes that he's the best at everything. And I admire that about him because his confidence will not falter.
Yeah, just this time on a trampoline.
He's got no shot in hell.
He's got no shot.
No chance.
Question number 2. The Montreal screw job. Whose side are you taking, Bret Hart or Vince McMahon?
Oh, it's Bret all day long. But if you know a man's not going to do business, then don't put the title on him in the first place. Like,
that's a good point.
I feel like I have wrestled many a guys that I don't like. I won't say that. I wrestled 2 or 3 guys that I don't like. There's only a few people that I would say I genuinely dislike in this business. But regardless, it's a business. Like I'm sure in your job, in your everyday life, you're gonna have to work with people you don't like.
Yep.
But if your boss says, hey, this got to be done, then your professionalism should outweigh your disdain for anyone. And you should be able to do the job. However, if you had agreed to something and then you go behind a colleague's back and screw him over, then no, you're the asshole of the situation.
That's a good take.
I love the breakdown of that. Yeah. That's the best breakdown you've had of that. That's awesome. So the third question, scissor kick, is it more effective in soccer or wrestling?
Ooh, a scissor kick. It's hard to pull it off in soccer. Now, if you're doing almost like a Pele with it, it's very cool and it's It's almost like a windmill dunk or like a 360 dunk. It's almost too stylish to do. Then I would say it's effective. So
Right.
definitely, especially if you ask Booker T, it's going to be more effective in wrestling, but it's cooler looking in soccer.
Okay. All right. Question number 4. The pandemic's over. We're making towns. You're driving town to town in a car. You get to have,
hopefully at this point I'll be making flights.
yeah. Yeah. You get 3 wrestlers to have in the car with you, alive or dead, current
Ooh.
or from the past. What 3 wrestlers are you having in the car with you?
Well, just for the sheer amount of laughs and stories alone, I gotta put the Iron Sheik in there.
Oh
As
yeah.
one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're gonna get with him. And let's see, man, this is a good question. We're going Iron Sheik. We're going. Man, I'm trying to think of just different stories I've heard over the years of big time stars and how they are in the car. I'll go Ethan Page as well, just because he's a good friend of mine, and I know we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about as well. And then, oh man, this is such a good question. As much as I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not a fan of some of his takes, but I got to put Jim Cornette in the car. Just if you listen to Drive Through, it's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's like, just I wouldn't say just for a one-time thing. I got to see what it's like. I'll put Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
That's a wild ride.
Yeah.
To have Iron Sheik and Jim Cornette in a car together, you are going to get some entertaining hot button takes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, so question 5. Lance Archer in a kitchen, -1 with a kendo stick, or Rowan's cage, which is scarier?
Oh man, see, as much as now that Lance is a babyface, I feel like I can say that he's a nice guy when he's not trying to kill everybody. and John Laurinaitis was scarier, telling me how many times I was gonna have to repeat. John Laurinaitis is scary, telling how many times that that guy was gonna have to keep screaming and running up that ramp than the actual what was in the cage. But -1 it's a shoot, brother. He's laying those bad boys in. He's not stopping. I mean, he and Marco had an Iron Man match off camera in the floor of the hotel, and he just would not stop. The man was all high energy, hitting discus lariats like it was nobody's business.
That's awesome.
And so if I'll take getting tossed around by Lance Archer or getting my face thrown up against a cage any day of the week before I take another kendo stick shot from -1, because he doesn't know when to stop. He doesn't know when it's over, brother. Somebody give him a call. Hey, Iggy, let this man in.
Yeah, man, he was throwing them.
All right, so the final question in the Shoot Sixer: what happens when you finally hit that tornado DDT?
When I finally hit that tornado DDT, I mean, there definitely might be an earthquake in Jacksonville, but I feel like it's going to go hand in hand with me signing on the dotted line with AEW full time. And also, hopefully, I landed on QT Marshall, because if it was the first time to hit it, it'd definitely be on QT, the way he's been running his mouth on the vlog. But I think it finally signifies that, hey, I'm about to win this match. And you can pretty much say the Fuego del Sol is all elite. So that's what's going to happen when I hit that.
That's awesome.
And you can take this opportunity to throw out a little challenge to QT if you want.
I mean, I would, but clearly he's been running like a little bitch for so long now that we may never get this match. But if I have any say in it, if he's got any balls, then yeah, he'll definitely face me.
Well, Fuego, it's been so much fun having you on. Let all the people know where they can get at you on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Make sure on Twitter you hit up KBW_cage. That's still a nod to my backyard days from KBW. But if I eventually get verified, I'll change it to Fuego del Sol something. But on Instagram at Fuego del Sol _. Don't forget the underscore. On Pro Wrestling Tees, where you can buy one of these cool shirts or one of the Tornado DDT shirt, prowrestlingtees.com/Fuego del Sol. On every week, every Tuesday at noon on Sammy Guevara's blog. And I have a YouTube channel myself. I can't really post right now because I'm at AEW every week, and so that content, until you're signed, you can't really be posting stuff back there. But subscribe anyway, so you never know what you're gonna get with me. I'm trying to think, is that everything? Pretty much. And any other social medias you have, look me up. You'll probably find me on there somewhere, doing something with somebody. But that's the thing. Sammy's Guevara's vlog. That's where the good stuff is every single Tuesday. Make sure you subscribe.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been awesome having you on. You always have a seat here at the tavern. We'll etch your name on the bar here, and we appreciate it. We look forward to you being signed, and we hope you have a great day. It's been nice having you.
Yeah, thanks.
Man, I really enjoyed this conversation, guys. Y'all, you're fun to talk to. I definitely like to do it again in the future for sure.
Always welcome.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
You too, man.